Hello everybody and welcome to Geopolitical Trends. My name is David Oualaalou. So good to be with you as always. While on a surprise visit to Belarus today, Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke about nuclear developments with his counterpart. In this video, I'm going to provide you a brief analysis as to what message Vladimir Putin is sending to NATO, the West, and the US, and while pulling this within the global context with other issues taking place elsewhere. But before I'll delve deeper into this, I want to extend my thanks to the new members of the channel that just joined the channel here. I also wanted to remind you that I will be doing a live stream on December 30th. So I hope you can join me if your schedule permits. And also remember to subscribe if you have not done so and smash that notification button so you will be notified every time I upload a new video. Let's dive into this topic, which has come as a surprise. Nobody expected this, at least in the West. But the way I look at it personally, and this is again my personal analysis, those are my personal views, shall we say so. So the Russian president arrived this morning to Belarus. By the time you see this video, most likely he will have returned back to Moscow. So his trip to Belarus to meet with his counterpart, Alexander Lukashenko, as Moscow at the same time announced that a number, and get this guys, this is why I said earlier, you put this trip within the context of other aspects. As a number of Russian warships would soon participate in a naval exercises with the nuclear power in Asia. Now, one thing usually once you get into geopolitics and all that, the one thing you will really learn is that in international relations, context matters. So the fact that Russia announced that soon it will be conducting naval exercises with the nuclear power in Asia. So they could have said just military drills, but no, because the context matters. By using the term drills or military exercises with the nuclear power. We all know who the nuclear power in Asia is China. And I will touch on this as I move along. So make sure to watch this video in its entirety, because I have a good conclusion for you that put things in perspective. So during the meeting of Vladimir Putin today in Belarus with his counterpart Alexander Lukashenko, the Russian president stated that he is ready, when I say he, I'm referring to Russia, ready to develop nuclear projects in Belarus. And he said, and I quote, let me get you guys the quote exactly. And the quote is this: this is what President Putin said, it is our partner in all fields, including the economy. And it is important to work together in the field of high-tech developments. End of quote. So why do you think, in your opinion, a Russian president will state something like this in a neighboring country like Belarus? Well, the first answer that should come to your mind, it has to do with two other countries in the Nordic states, Finland and Sweden. And you all know why, because of their application to NATO, which means a hint now to NATO, if ever those two nations join NATO and NATO decided to place nuclear weapons on their territory, meaning on Finland and Sweden, which by the way, both of them said there will be no nuclear weapons on their territory. We shall see. So that is the reason why the Russian president mentioned the nuclear developments with Belarus. And he added, and I quote, we have reached about $31 billion in trade between us and we will reach $40 billion by the end of the year. End of quote. When he said between us, he's referring to Russia and Belarus. Once again, you read between the lines, this is a message to the EU. You all know what's going on with you. I did some videos on the fragmentation of the EU given the energy crisis that's going on. So And like I said earlier, you put this within the context of other events that's taking place elsewhere. So, coinciding with this visit of the Russian president to Belarus is that the presence of the Russian forces that are conducting military exercises in Belarus as we speak. And of course, there is a unit that is co-joint between Belarus and Russia, because the Russian forces belong to a joint Belarusian and Russian units, which is formed and trained, and guess what? At the battalion level. That is very significant, because when you think about a battalion, the minimum will be about trained about 10,000 troops. This one has about 9,000 based on the research that I found. And I will provide you, of course, the link to all this information. So, the other aspect that you have to take into consideration is that the announcements by the Russian Ministry of Defense regarding the drills with the nuclear power in Asia. Now, once again, in international relations, context matters. All it took for the Russians just to announce this, put it out to the world, and let the world interpret that in any way they want. I do believe there is a message hidden sent to the West, the US mainly, about all this. By the way, if you like this video so far, please click that like button and subscribe if you have not done so. I will greatly appreciate it. So like I said earlier, in a related context, the Russian Defense Ministry has announced that a number of its warships will participate in a naval exercises this week. As a matter of fact, the drill is going to be between the 21st of December and ends on the 27th. This is based on the research that I conducted. And it's going to be conducted, by the way, in East China Sea. And the main objective for these drills is to strengthen the maritime cooperation between both Russia and China. And of course, this drill will include live missiles, launches, artillery, and so anti-submarine drills. I'm not going to get into this because I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to provide you a brief analysis to put this within the context of global security, within the context of the ongoing Ukraine conflicts, within the context of NATO sort of aggressive behavior or movement towards arming the Ukrainians, they just with no ends in sight. That's how I see it. But also, I'm here to provide you this on the heels of two main events. There are two main other events. One of them has to do with the former Secretary of State, US that is, Henry Kissinger's call for a negotiated peace in Ukraine to reduce the risks of another devastating world war. And of course, the Ukrainian government has ordered to dismiss these comments, because you don't want to hear that it was the West that dismisses Henry Kissinger for that. So they had to put it on the Ukrainian government. And the second part is you have to put this within the context of the US defense budget. I did a video on it, which almost exceeded $1 trillion. But that's not the point. The point is what's in it. The $1 billion a year that's going to be allocated to Taiwan. And if you think about Taiwan, you have to think about 2024 and the upcoming presidential election there. So this is why you have to sort of put this into context as to, but mainly it has to do with the Russia-China joint military exercises. I devoted a section about China-Russia rapprochement in my book, The Dynamics of Russia's Geopolitics. So if you get a chance to read it, you truly will enjoy it. And I argued even back then, this is why I'm not surprised at these statements, at these maneuvers, and of course the statements by the Russian president. Because here's the thing. Debates have been swirling in the West about how the China-Russia rapprochement may impact the global balance of power. Well, of course it will, and it's already starting to take effect. Some in the West are concerned about the seriousness of this rapprochement. Others, of course, suggested that, well, it's just provisional. Nothing's gonna come out of it. They are wrong. One thing is sure, as an analyst, China-Russia rapprochement indicates, in my opinion, a much bigger shift looming on the horizon for the geopolitical landscape, one that will certainly alter the global balance of power. Only in one condition, and that condition is if Moscow and Beijing play their strategic rights, their strategic cards the right way. That's the only way I see it. They are, because we all know the historical animosity between Russia and China. They put that aside. We know that now they don't have any border issues. They put that aside and working about fomenting a new multipolar order. This is what some in the West can sort of ignore. This like, oh no, that rapprochement between China and Russia will not work. I argued this in the book back then, and even some comments that I get about the book that, oh no, you Dr. O, you were wrong about this rapprochement, it won't work. And I said, no, it will. It's because Russia and China will put their differences aside and work towards a common goal. And here it is. That's what we are seeing today. So here's my question for you for today. I want to keep this video brief, to the point for you, so you won't, so this way you can at least watch it in its entirety. So here's my question for you for today. What message do you think are Russia and China sending to the West by conducting this military drill for the second time this year? Let me repeat. What message do you think Russia and China are sending to the West by conducting this military drill exercises? Make sure to leave me some comments, and I look forward to reading your comments. As always, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.